Honda Talon has finally arrived, and I gotta say, I'm impressed. Honestly, I didn't know if Honda was going to be able to pull it off. Now, obviously, things could still go south. It's brand new. We haven't been in it yet, but thus far, I'm extremely impressed, and we're going to talk about why. First, I should say, my name is Chris, and this is Midwest ATV, where it is all about providing you the most value and entertainment possible when it comes to anything and everything ATV and UTV related. So, to make sure you don't miss out, think about hitting that subscribe button. So the Honda Talon comes in two different models. You've got the 1000R and the 1000X. But before we get into what separates these two machines, let's just go over the basics first. And let me just start by talking about the body. This thing looks good. I mean, good. I honestly didn't think that the Honda was gonna do a great job on the body, and I am impressed. Curves in all the right places. So this beautiful curvy machine has a 999cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine with a 6-speed dual-clutch transmission that has 3 modes. It's got your sport, your drive, and your manual with the paddle shifters, which I absolutely love. Now this does have Honda's i4-wheel drive system, and I gotta say, I would still much rather prefer a locking diff. However, it's in a sport machine, so I'm not overly surprised that that's the way they did it. Now the inside of this thing looks absolutely gorgeous. It's got these huge, wide and tall bucket seats that are supposed to have some additional foam to create some really good comfort in there. Plus, it's also got the tilt steering and the adjustable seats. Those are definitely big pluses. And it even comes with this hard top roof. Now, that you don't often come by as an included feature, so that is awesome that they are including that. Now, this also appears to have Maxxis tires on it. And this is where things start to get a little on the gray side, if you will. I don't know what kind of tires these actually are. They don't talk about them at all. If you look close at some of the images, they do appear to be Maxxis tires. What size they are, what model, all that, I have no idea. So now let's talk about what separates these two machines. So you've got the 1000R and the 1000X. Now the 1000R comes in at 68.4 inches wide, while the 1000X comes in at 64 inches wide. On the 1000R, the front suspension has 17.7 inches of travel, while the rear suspension has 20.1 inches of travel. The 1000X has 14.5 inches of travel on the front suspension and 15.1 inches of travel on the rear suspension. As for shocks, the 1000R has 2.5-inch Fox Podium QS3 shocks, while the 1000X has the 2.0 Fox Podium QS3 adjustable shocks. Now, the only thing that seems to separate the 1000R from the 1000X that I can tell thus far is really the width and suspension on these things. Now, that's great that they're providing two different options, but they're not that far off. Personally, if you're gonna do that and that's gonna be the focus on what separates them, I would have much rather seen them come out with a trail edition. So instead of creating that 64-inch stance, a trail model with something closer to 50 inches that you can really get down a lot more of those narrow trails that wider machines just can't accomplish. Okay, so since shooting this video almost immediately after it came out, I've learned a few extra things, and when I was going through the edit here, I realized that I really wanted to include those because the whole point is to provide you the down and dirty, but as much information as possible immediately following the release of the Talon. So with that, there's a few things I wanted to make sure I mentioned. Number one, this is a 104 horsepower. That's for both the X and the R model. Now the R model has what's called the 4+ link trailing arm design. And what that means, if you look here, it's got 4 trailing arms connected to it, and one of them is called a plus because it's actually a Y adapter here, so it kind of Ys out. I'm curious to see how this performs. Now that's on the R. The X has a 3-link trailing arm in the rear. And finally, the last thing I wanted to make sure to mention, I'd previously said I believed it had Maxxis tires on it. It does in fact. It has 28-inch Maxxis tires sitting on 15-inch rims. All right, let's get back to the video. All right, so that's pretty much it. Bottom line, I'm extremely impressed so far. If Honda can take the Talon and repeat what they did with the Pioneer, because as you know, the Pioneer is an amazing utility side-by-side, so all they got to do is repeat that in the sport industry, and they are going to rattle some cages. Now, I do have to say really quick, I'm rather disappointed with the way that Honda premiered the Talon. I feel like we have a lot of questions unanswered, and maybe that's on purpose, designed by their marketing team, I don't know. But we don't even have a price on this thing yet. I mean, what even separates the two models in regards to price? Is there a large price gap? What's the overall price? I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions that I'm sure they will address soon. But I really would have just liked to get a little bit more information on this. I feel like the buildup was huge, stuff was leaked, we've been waiting on this premiere, and it kind of left a little bit to be desired. But I do think it's going to be a great machine, and hopefully we'll actually be able to get on and test drive one of these and provide you a much more in-depth better review of this machine soon. So with that, like this video if it was helpful, subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you on the trail.